Episode 63, The Cave at Lochiel. So, our first cave exploration is near the McLeod Cabin in Lochiel. The cave at Lochiel, on the property of the McLeod, stands an abandoned home, we believe the original house of the immigrant McLeods to Glengarry, and where John McLeod lived his later life and wrote of his chronicles. Nearby is the McLeod Cairn, a strange tunnel or cave opening on the property. So, we set off in search of it. In the wintertime, we could not find these pathways. They were too buried in snow. So off we went back in the summertime. We found some nice pathways through the Glengarry forest. Beautiful ways to go, all marked for us. But we were looking for the off-trail routes, where the McLeods may have gone. We found some beautiful riverbeds, still following the trails down. We found some very interesting structures. It was quite scenic, but we were anxious to look for clues that would lead us off the actual trail. That's when we saw the various tree markers, some of these spectacular looking trees. We thought, well, is it a coincidence that they're there, or is it something else? So we followed off the trails through the Glengarry forests, past some of these amazing trees and rocks, beautiful scenery, beautiful large ancient moss-covered trees. And now we were in sort of the thick of the forest, looking for clues that might indicate that there was a cave. Well, we came across a very interesting clue. There was a giant sinkhole in the ground. A sinkhole maybe about 100 meters by 100 meters wide. And we looked down into that sinkhole, thought that must be where they went. So we couldn't figure out how to get down there, so we had to come back with some ropes, tie the ropes to the trees, and kind of get ourselves down to the opening of that sinkhole. It wasn't an easy job. It took us several hours to get down there safely. There were the three of us. When we got down there, we saw that there was various little openings and cracks in the rock. None of them looked big enough to actually hide in or to crawl in. Maybe some items were hidden in them. We looked for a different way in to the cave area in that sinkhole. And we were lucky. We found what looked like some sort of marked off steps that might have been chiseled away at some time way in the past. And we followed this sort of marked path, and we were able to find a way down inside of the cave. Now, it wasn't easy along this pathway. It was very thin, and if you moved just a little bit to the left or the right, you could maybe fall off and fall down another couple of 100 feet into the ground. But we did find these kind of chiseled out old steps that led to this maw, this gaping hole, this cave entrance. And the way the light flickered around in it made us believe that there was something to this weird kind of lighting effect. So we circled around the rock looking for another opening, and this is where we found those chiseled steps. Rock kind of chiseled away. It looks sort of unnatural, part unnatural, but this is the way in, we believed. And as we got closer and into the darkness, we saw the little bits of the river flowing by and the strange colored lights that were reflecting off the rocks from that opening above. So we figured this must be the way in. We were lucky enough to find a guide, and the guide showed us that this was in fact the way in, and it had been reinforced over the years by human hands. There was some lighting set up, and we explained that we were looking for sort of an off the beaten path sort of secret area, and our guide said, well, there were some. You would just have to go deeper into the caves, and there would be little branching points where we could leave the guide and go look in a little bit more detail. So that's what we did. We started searching through these caves. About here is where we branched off from the main cave and found this long tunnel-like part of the cave. And this is where we made an amazing discovery. Looking through all the little cracks and hiding places in here, it looked like there was a little sitting area where maybe someone may have come and spent time and sat down in the cave with the rocks. And in this little area, there was a little notch in the rocks, and we were able to pull out a journal. This is it. This is where we found the next journal. One of the lost journals, one of the lost 25 journals. This was an amazing discovery. We had to have a quick look at it on the site. It was in pretty good condition. The caves were pretty dry, and they seemed to be doing well at preserving items. So we put it down on the rock and we had a quick look at it. It had a binding strap around it and some very ornate carvings on it. The tree of life was the symbol on the front of it. And the tree of life, that's one of the things that we discovered in our clues in our season 1 of Mystery Secret Searchers. So we were very excited to find this journal. We were hoping that it would have more clues in it, more adventures for us to follow. And we were not disappointed when we opened it up. Oh my gosh, written in 1816. It had a seal on it, some kind of wax seal. It had maps. It was like a diary. It had a diary. It had entries, maps, and illustrations. Someone had done sketches in here along with all the writing. It was a complete journal of someone's diary. We figured it must be a McLeod. Was it something else John McLeod did? It didn't look like the John McLeod style of journal writing. It was different. It was sort of handwritten, not really printed. And there were beautiful illustrations that went with it. We were excited to start reading this and finding out what's going on. There was a page about the Blue Chapel. There was a page with a locket on it in a different kind of handwriting near the end of the journal. This was amazing. We were so excited to find this. The cave at Lochiel near the McLeod Cabin had given us a major clue, a second journal, March 19th, 1816. The initials EC. EC. Who is EC? Also with the journal, hidden away in the crevice of the rock, was an old key. It was rather rusty now, kind of corroded and rusty looking, but we feel this key must be important for something too. Is it a key for a lockbox, another hidden lockbox? Was it the key that went with John McLeod's lockbox that he actually hid in the St. Lawrence River? We're not sure. More mysteries. We have to explore them. Our adventure continues. We had a great time in these McLeod caves. We made some amazing discoveries. We're really excited. And this prompts us to go search some more caves. Look, that was cave number 1 out of 12. We got 11 more to go.